right? I remember hearing you said that the criminal. You said it again. I want you to elaborate more. The criminal and the
Enterprise.
entrepreneur, yeah, have
Yeah.
the same characteristics. Can you speak about that?
Yeah, man, because Schumpeter, this is the American and European writers right now. Schumpeter and Baumel actually say because they were trying to understand what's happening in their own country, the mafia, them and other peoples. And then realize that the same factors that drive the entrepreneur mind is the same thing that drive the criminal mind. Them have a sense of independence. Them like to work in groups, you know, them strategic, them visionaries, them persistent. You just check it. All of these things are the same. So now, remember, if you understand the principle of polarity, you know, if you are east and you travel as far west as you can travel, you always end up in the east because it's the same energy. It's whether you neutralize yourself to one pole or the other. So the same people who have that same kind of business mind, some get a chance in the formal space, while some get a chance in the informal, illegal space. And they use the same kind of character to drive themselves. You have some set of youth who involved in scamming. And while I know that scamming is not something good, my role in the university, you know, is entrepreneurship I promote. So I look and see what are the things that these youths do now and things still. Seeing? And we're always saying to students that there are certain best practices that you must adopt if you're going to run a business. You must do data mining. You must establish extremely good networking. You must practice good customer service, which means that when the phone ring, it must ring more than 3 times. You know, you must ensure that when you communicate to people effectively and convincingly. You must know how to negotiate. Now, when you look at them involved in scamming, now these are youths who have never gone through any, well, most of them have not gone through a university. We can fairly assume them know the communications and marketing. We can make those assumptions. But do you know how them catch people when in scamming? The data mining is too good. So them go to these youths, they find tons upon tons of information who are their potential customers, you know. Those people communicate with people across different countries and across different states where the language spoken is not a Jamaican tongue. So they must be able to change them sounds so people can understand what they are saying. They're in constant communication with these people by telephone. And whenever those persons call, they always get them. Unlike when I call a government agency now, the phone rings about 12, 13, 14 times. I have just hang up the phone because nobody's answering the phone. You know? What is the point I'm making? These same youths who we consider to be criminals have the skill set to operate good businesses. And rather than encouraging them to say, okay, get out of that line of behavior, I use that same kind of approach that you use to run legal registered business. The strategy is to A, to condemn and embarrass, and B, to imprison. Now, if you juxtapose that now with other people, yes, who are in formal businesses, who evade taxes, which is criminal, but is a civil case. Yes, but it's an illegal act, but it's not criminal. It's illegal, but not criminal. You see what we do to those persons. If they get caught, you move them from one organization to the next organization. Even a lot of persons who we know that they start up their businesses were involved in the really illegal activities like selling people as slaves. And we can give you an example, like Gleaner Company. Gleaner Company was started in 1834. If it started in 1834, it's when emancipation came in Jamaica. It means that the person who owned Gleaner must have been persons who owned slaves. And if you listen to how the Gleaner wrote, if you read how the Gleaner wrote at that time, it was pre-slavery, it was pro-slavery. They were supporting slavery. Now, we know Gleaner is one of the biggest companies now in Jamaica. Nobody condemns those persons. The point I'm saying is if you don't see value in the people, you're not going to treat them as real people. And therefore, no matter what kind of characteristics those persons, what kind of quality them have, you will never put in place a system that helps to nurture and grow those positive traits of those persons. So essentially what you have done is that you force them into a particular line of live. And you know why it is difficult? Why it is so difficult to get those youths out of crime, and also very difficult to try to reduce the crime, because again, those youths have some characteristics that are very important that support sustainability. Them loyal to each other, you know. Very, very loyal to each other. Not hypocritical like a lot of people in the formal spaces are hypocritical. When those youths become convicted of a crime, There's an ecosystem that exists that supports them while they are in prison and supports their people outside of the prison. I can't say the same about the normal business environment in Jamaica. Remember, in Jamaica, 6 out of every 10 business that start up fails in the first 2 years of operation. Do you know the clear rate of crime in Jamaica? Less than 40% clear of crime, which tells you then that if you are involved in a criminal enterprise, you are more likely to succeed than if you're involved in a formal enterprise. Virgin, the man spends so much money fighting crime than using that amount of money to empower these youths so them don't become criminals. And then expecting that we're not going to have the kind of situation that we actually have. So I also say to you that creation don't make no error. See, in iration don't make any error. And how I grow, prepare for the exact what I do know. Because I understand the informal space, whether it be legal or illegal, and I also have a good understanding of the formal space. And I'm telling you that I am more comfortable doing work with those in the informal space than in the formal space for one single reason. They're not hypocrites. It is best if you know exactly who you are dealing with and things, So I say, all that I do now really came out of how I grew and the way I was encouraged by those people. Some in a badness, some in a badness. All those youths are youths who I think many persons can learn a lot of lessons from. As a matter of fact, if you check the Jamaican culture and Jamaican history, do you realize that the biggest impact in enterprises from Jamaica, outside of Jamaica, tend to be criminal enterprises? Whether it be the shower posse, spanglers, we're exporting ganja or dealing with badness. You have ever heard the United States government worrying about Grace Kennedy products in America? It's no threat to the American economy.
Fucks.
I tell you, Virgin, I'm going to tell you this part of the hypocrisy because when those youths do the bad things, where do you think them send the money? Them send to Jamaica. Where it come through? Western Union, which is Grace Kennedy money place, And the first people who benefit from illegal money come to Jamaica are the money transfer agencies. You see the government locking down those places?
Nah.
Hold on,
take the money.
Before they even go no further, because the reason in the right direction, and I'm more point out something really clear about what I said to you, because that's something what I them reason about numerous amount of times. The link between capitalism and slavery. See, I will always tell people say capitalism and slavery. I have a book called Capitalism and Slavery by Eric Williams. Some more ones and ones.
From Trinidad.
Yes, the ones them. Make sure say you can check the book to see the reasoning what they talk. Once you say is a direct thing. A research did it to even forward to what they say too.
Yeah, man. Capitalism and Slavery was a big text, so people always recommend. University West Indies like to promote that text. But remember that say slavery was what brought about the most of the capital that support development. All right, let me show you why I tell them. You know, say in 1492, when them leave, there was the first meeting to establish a new world order. Ferdinand, this is people of Spain, Ferdinand, Isabella, and the Pope met because Europe was in a lot of problems. They were under-resourced. Some say they need to find more resources. And don't follow the errors in the history book, but say I go to East India and West Indies. Lies. They knew everything because the Moors told them everything that was happening. Read Ivan Van Sertima book, they came before Columbus, which shows that people are coming to the Caribbean long before Columbus, and they knew about that. So they knew of the Americas, they knew of the East. See? So note, when they move out of Europe, the first global central bank was placed where? Jamaica, or called Port Royal. A bank is where you deposit all your wealth. And all of the people were sent out by Europe, which we call pirates, but there was a person who was commissioned by Europe and was governed them own. See? You take a broke pocket man can't own a ship. No broke pocket man can't own a ship. You take a young junk who could own a ship. It don't be a man who have enough connection in the status for who own a ship and can turn a pirate. That just show him rebellious against the system. So you come a pirate, but he's still in friend them because he eventually became governors and were given titles in many of these countries. So the first central bank was established in Port Royal. But the bank crashed. The bank crashed because of an earthquake. I remember, that Port Royal was seen as a very safe space because Jamaica was seen as the safest place in the earth in terms of climate. Whether it be hurricanes or storm. Why? Because we're in the center of the Caribbean. We're in the middle of the basin.
1692.
Yeah. So none of the thing that will come in will hit Jamaica like that normally hit other places. That's why all of the navigational spaces or hubs are located in Jamaica. Whether they want to be the Caribbean Maritime University, whether they want to be the Seabed Authority, all those spaces are related to sea trade. Remember, Jamaica is probably the only country in the world where all of Europe had fought for. Spain fight England, England fight France, Spain fight France, the Dutch get fight, everybody fight about the place. Because I'm realizing navigational importance, and today is the same situation. So what am I saying that? When the bank crashed because of the earthquake, they say, what is they going to do now? Because the whole European system crashed, just as you see Corona in the space and it cause trade for shutdown and things. It's a similar situation. So what they are going to do? Revitalize the economy. How are they going to do that? They have to involve in production of certain things. And the most efficient form of input at the time for production would have been labor. So they want to get the cheapest labor, because if you know if the labor costs high, the production costs high, and it becomes less profitable. So therefore, slavery became the most feasible thing for them to have zero cost labor as an input into production. So it's not by chance. And this was agreed upon by the church and the state. That's why the Bingy man bun the church and state, And if ours bun the church and state. That's not the congregation in the church. It's not the people who go to church and sing and a clap and It's the administrators of the church. And if you deconstruct the word administrator, you'll really find that admin is traitor. Deconstruct the word for yourself. So
like
those people, but you see sometimes now, because they can't say the leader for the church. You see the local church say, about a fire upon that. Actually, they have nothing to do with God. But check it. The leadership has always been the problem. And that has been the reality of our people. So capitalism and slavery is one-on-one. Them complement each other. Because it was the best way for them to get the greatest amount of profit to the capitalists. So it's not a joke. And it still happens today. Because what happens today now is that rather than give you forced labor, them use what they call cheap labor. And they represent what is called a minimum wage. Remember, and ask yourself, who said the minimum wage? Do you think in Jamaica, I'm going to use Jamaica as a reference point. Do you think that in Jamaica, as the government set the minimum wage? The government asked the private sector organization of Jamaica to recommend the minimum wage. Now, how can you ask an employer to recommend a wage for the employee? Because he must want to pay the lowest amount of wage so he can get the highest amount of profit. Because profit is equal to what? Revenue minus expense, and wages and expense. It is deliberate. If you come to Jamaica, remember, say private sector organization is right across from Jamaica House, They can just walk straight across the road and go into Jamaica House to decide what they want to do with the country. So yeah, man.
Geography and slavery too.
No, because
That's what you want.
remember, it's proximity. It's proximity. And remember, I say, I cannot import that. So every time the government go to Jamaica House, what them see in front of them is embossed, which is PSOJ. So symbolism, crucial. So there's no such thing as coincidence. Coincidence is law not recognized, man. And anytime you feel these things, I'm going to buy buck up, like how they say. It's when you miss the point. It's no buck up, Regine. Saying all things that we see today in our societies is deliberate. But in the strategic plan, I think we call them the unknown. Things that you do not know, There's impact in a situation. And if you say this thing just happen just like that. Never the case. It has never been the case.
Well, let me hear you say mountain, mountain.